What's going on, everybody? Orange J here with another My Hero Academia, the strongest hero video, and today I'm going to do my global launch tier list. We're going to talk about which characters you should be excited for and which characters you probably shouldn't be excited for because they're kind of bad. Before we go into it, let's talk about what these tiers mean and kind of how I'm judging them. Real quick, S tier is like broken, absolutely when this game comes out, overpowered, build your account around them, and there's a couple bonus units that aren't on my list at the bottom that I'm probably going to throw into S tier, but we're not sure if we're getting them, or we're not sure how many of us are getting them, and we'll get to that in a minute. A tier, absolutely worth building, investing in, learning to use, and learning to use is a big part of units in this game because your skill matters a lot in this game. Okay, B tier, average, pretty good. If you're great with them, you could probably climb ladders, right? If you're not great with them, oof, they're not real forgiving. C tier, that's where you're starting to fall towards the trash can. And D tier, that's where one of these units lives by himself with like whatever that character from Sesame Street was that lived in the trash can. Oscar? Yeah, he lives with Oscar in the garbage. What? You'll see. Okay, number one, let's start with Deku. Deku, solid A tier character. He's not broken by any means, but he's very, very new player friendly. And when this game launches, we're all going to be new players, more or less. And Deku is very good. He should be one of your 3 starting characters that you're playing, that you're learning, that you're investing in. He's in your face. He's very punishing to other new players. His skills teleport you to the enemy, right? And then you can juggle them in the air, and it's pressure, 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 pressure. And if you've ever played a fighting game or a game like this before, you know that being able to apply pressure to your opponent like that will make them tilt or get flustered, and then you can win PvP. So he's pretty good at PvE, he's very punishing in PvP, and he's an A tier character, worth doing, but everybody gets him for free, so play him. Okay, number 2, we're going to talk about Bakugo. Now, Bakugo is a really important character in the anime, and he's not very good in this game. He's specifically a little bit of a counter to like Ochaku, but you don't really need that. He's very clunky and clumsy, and just overall really, really needs some buffs. Like, that was my biggest note on this dude in my notes, was like, please buff on global. And if they don't, if the first patch notes we get aren't like, Bakugo's way freaking better than he used to be, pass on this dude. C tier character, but maybe they buff him later, make him a little less clunky. And you'll start to figure out there's like timing windows in this game, and he doesn't really have good timing. You'll know when you play. Okay, number 3, we're going to Ochaku for number 3. Now, she's very different than the other characters. She can like hover in the air for a while, which makes fighting against her kind of difficult. PvP in this game is like 1v1s where you can swap your characters in and out, or when somebody dies, another one swaps in. Like if you ever played Capcom versus Marvel or something like that, it's sort of a 3D version of that game. Or like I think that makes sense. She hovers around, which makes fighting her really weird. Now, her damage never struck me as like particularly high, but the fact that she can like float around is really annoying. When she's on the ground, she's weak, but her biggest counter might be Bakugo, and he's not good. So I'm just going to slide her into B tier. If you want to learn her, if you like this unit, hey, play her. She's fun, and absolutely could be one of your 3 on an effective PvP team. Okay, number 4. We're going for Iida for number 4. Oscar the Grouch's friend, down in the trash can tier. D tier, he's bad. Like, it's like RP from the show, where like everybody kind of dumped on him in the show because he was a nerd. Yeah, the developers dumped on him in this game too. So like, motorcycle rev up boy drove himself into D tier. Don't build this guy. Like, okay. Disclaimer, if you love any character, don't listen to me. Play the game however you want. It's a game, have fun. If you're trying to be good and competitive, I highly recommend staying away from Iida. Alright, number 5 on my list, we got Todoroki coming in at number 5. Now, Todoroki's interesting. So here's what I wrote. I wrote he's better than Bakugo. Okay, I gave Bakugo C tier, and I'm going to give him C tier too. I don't think he was ever better enough than Bakugo to be like a tier above him, but I also wrote that he just really needs buffs. This dude was so cool in the anime, and by the way, his dad in this game, SSS tier. We'll talk about him at the end of the video. But, you know, Fire and Ice Sun, not exactly there. He does a lot of stuff. In PvE, he's kind of cool and fun to use. In PvP, it's just weird and it doesn't really work. Or at least I could never get it to work, and the people I played against sucked at him. So either everyone I've ever seen play him is bad, or, which is a possibility. This is a new game and I was playing on the Asian servers. Whatever that means. Or he's a bad unit. I'm erring on the side of not a very good unit and putting him in C tier. Okay, number 6 on the list, we've got Kirishima. Now, Kirishima's good, and he's free. You get this dude right when you start. Well, you got to go through the tutorial, but he's your 3rd unit you get for free. And he's like this big-time counter guy. His Q ability, or whatever you bind it to when you're playing the game, he sets up and blocks, and then when he takes hits, he turns around and counters. It's super good, and he's really good against aggro characters like Deku, like All Might, who we're going to talk about at the end of this video. He's very good against them. Now, he's not very good against ranged units, or he doesn't seem to like he would be very good against ranged units. However, in the game right now, there's really not a lot of ranged units, except for one that we're going to talk about in a minute. So, as more units come out, he will probably fall off. In fact, he feels a lot to me like a unit who will be very strong early game, but fall off later. But we're in the earliest of early games, so I'm going to put him in A tier for now, but don't expect like super long-term value out of him, in my opinion. Okay, number 7, we got Kaminari coming in at number 7. Man, you know, I'm going to put him in C tier. Like, he's a ranged character. He just throws his lightning all over the place, right? But his damage isn't very high. He's not really like evadey. I mean, every unit in this game has a dodge. It's a mechanic built into the game. But a lot of his moves really suck. Like, he has some AoE moves for when you're close to him, and they never like felt super impactful to me. Like, for a ranged unit, his close range ability that you had to use as kind of like a cover should have stunned or something. It should have like disabled the enemy for a minute. It doesn't, it just does some damage. And I always felt like after I used his ultimate ability, I was immediately going to get smashed. And he just wasn't very good. He throws his lightning, jumps around, is a C tier character. If you're playing against Kirishima a lot, maybe you can run him as like a ranged counter to him, but oof, I'd probably pass on him. C tier. Let's go to number 8. Okay, number 8 is my girl, Froppy. Now, Froppy is personally who I am going hard for right when this game launches. Like, if I do rerolls, I will reroll for her specifically, but that's because she's my favorite unit and she's pretty good. I'm going to put her in A tier, and that's not really, there's not a ton of bias going in there. She has really cool combos, but they're a little bit hard to learn. As you play this game, you'll get used to like the way combos work, where it's like attack, 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 Q, Q, you know, E, or whatever you have them bound to. There's combos. Hers are, the timing always felt weird to me, but they were really impactful when you could get them off. She's very free to play friendly, it looks like, or at least they're hinting at that we might be able to build her for free, or I saw some stuff like that in the beta. So if that's true, I think this is somebody everybody should go for if they're just giving her away. If they're not just giving her away and you pull her, I think she'd be worth using, so I'm going to slot her into A. Okay, next up, number 9, we've got Mineta. Now, Mineta putting his balls on everybody, and I don't mean that in the like, you know, PG-13 way. I mean, like, you know, Mineta, he like pulls balls off his head and throws them at people. God, that sounds weird. But he sticks his balls all over the place. He can do moves where like his balls are out and he like combos around on them, and it's really fun, but he still never felt dominating to me. But he's very useful. He's high B tier in my opinion. Decent damage, fun to play. Those are the things I wrote down. And you know what? When people do decent damage and are fun to play, maybe you just love them. You can learn to be really good at them. That's kind of what B tier is for me. So he goes right there. Okay, number 10, we've got Tokoyami coming out. Now, Tokoyami, A tier and like borderline S tier. The only reason I didn't put him in S tier is because like his most powerful thing is like his Dark Shadow, but it takes a minute to get that going. He's but he's good at the whole game, right? Like, he's good at PvE, he's good at PvP, and in fact, sometimes if you're good at him, he's dominant in PvP. If this is a unit that you pull, boom, I think you should just go ahead and start learning to be great at him, because he's like great potential unit. Like, if you're good at this dude, you're going to have a banger in PvP, and he's good at PvE too. So he slots in at an A for me. Okay, 11, Momo. Alright, Momo, like, I almost wanted to put Momo in S tier. Now, if anybody's played League of Legends, they've probably played Heimerdinger, right? Or at least know about Heimerdinger. He puts his little turrets down, and then he sucks because he has to, like, he shoots his missiles and he, like, runs around, you count on the turrets to do all the damage. Okay, in this game, Momo puts down turrets that do pretty dang good damage, and then you can swap her out. Like, she's not the best unit once the turrets are out, although she doesn't suck, but you can put a turret down, swap her out for another unit, and then the turret's still out there doing work, and you're like, yo, it's like playing Heimerdinger and then swapping out to like Darius or something like that after you drop your turrets. That would be broken, and it is broken in this game. So, I never had Momo, to be fair. This is based on what other people have said. I had very little experience playing against her, and I didn't have her in the Asian servers. But she looks dang strong, and if you want to start an account around like a waifu character, do Froppy or Momo. Okay, anyway, let's go on to number 12. And we have Aizawa coming in at number 12. Now, he's better than every unit we've talked about so far. We don't know if we're getting him right away. There was hints on the beta that they might just be giving this dude away. If they are, and you want to like really be great at PvP, I think he's somebody you're going to have to learn to use well. He's an S tier unit. I never had him. I've never played with him, but my goodness, does he look broken from what I've seen. He's S tier, and if they hand him out, or if there's a quest line you can do to go get him, everybody should do that. He's great. Okay, now, that's everybody I had on the list, but there's a couple things coming out of the global beta that I think we need to address. One is that All Might didn't look to be something we're going to get on global. All Might is like Deku on steroids to me. If Deku's like annoying because he's in your face all the time, All Might is like hardcore in your face all the time. In fact, if he can just like combo you to death, just he's like warps to you and he's like punch, cross attack, and it's so annoying to play against. And if you're new and trying to learn the game and not like on top of all your mechanics, and you go up against an All Might, you might just rage uninstall. So All Might is an S tier character if his banner doesn't exist when the game first starts, and you want to wait to do pulls for a unit you think could like potentially just power your game up all the way, you might wait to have 100 pulls ready for All Might, because it looks like 100 pulls is going to be the guaranteed pity. So save up 100 pulls for All Might's banner if you want to do that. Okay. I also want to talk about Endeavor. Now, on the global beta, there was this thing where Endeavor was going to be given away to the top 10 players, like, in the PvP matches, but only them. Okay, I think that's really stupid, for one. Like, that guy, this dude's broken, by the way. Of everyone we've talked about so far, Endeavor is probably the strongest. He does a ton of damage, he's pretty tanky, he heals, he does, like, all the things. So, if you're already great, right, like, giving him away to the top 10 finishers, and I don't even know how they're going to like rank the PvP, honestly, but I imagine it's, you know, there'll be some ranking system, and they're going to give away Endeavor to the top 10 players. What about the rest of us? Anyway, I don't know. If Endeavor's banner ever drops, absolutely someone who you could go for, but when you start talking about going for limited units in gacha, money starts becoming involved, right? Anytime limited units come out, that's a way for gacha companies to make money. So if you notice, of the units I have in S tier, which is Aizawa, All Might, and Endeavor, Aizawa looks to be the only one that free-to-play players could have easy access to. The other two might be sort of pay-to-win units. Now, if they are, I think I'm going to like this game enough to put a little bit of money into, so I'll probably go for one of them, but I'm going to be a Froppy main anyway. No one's ever beaten my Froppy. So, okay, that's my tier list for when this game comes out. I hope this was helpful to anybody. This is, again, based off of my experience on the Chinese servers. And yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun. I'm probably not going to play anymore now until Global Launch comes out, because I kind of want to get that, anticipation built back up. Yeah, that's what I got, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Later.